Yo, this is Rich Lee, and I've had an idea. I keep thinking I'm going to do a written diary. Everybody always says how good journaling is for you mentally, and just as a nice way to keep track. And I've heard people like Matthew McConaughey who keep a diary, and then they're able to write books from it, right? 10 years, 20 years later, you're able to look back on the things that happened, and those small moments have turned into big moments. And I've just been thinking, I'm losing so many of those small moments that I don't share while on this journey of doing this crazy thing of trying to make a podcast my life, trying to make this my career, trying to do this forever. And I wanted to speak to some of those things, some of that behind the scenes stuff. Well, the other day, Chris Williamson liked, it's such a silly thing, but it's a moment, right? Liked one of my posts. It was a collaboration with George, the Tin Men. Now, Chris has had George on Modern Wisdom. Modern Wisdom is one of the biggest podcasts in the world now. Chris has been doing it for a few years. I think he started around COVID. His interviews, he calls it bro science. For me, it's about positivity, possibility, all around. But we're not super dissimilar, both from a working class background, both just trying to make sense of the world around us, I think, in different ways. I did have one good friend who kindly told me, he said, oh, it's kind of similar to Modern Wisdom, what you're doing. And bear in mind, I did post the other day, I've been meaning to do this, wanting to do this since 2016. I wrote a plan that looks very much like what this podcast now is in 2016. If you haven't seen that post, go on Instagram and have a look. It's literally with some potential names for it and a bit of a explanation as to what it will be. So I've been meaning to do this for a long time, so it's not a case of, oh, you did it first, this is what I wanted to do. He said, yeah, you kind of like Chris Williamson and what you're doing, but God, Rich, he's much better looking. He's Hollywood good looking. It's like, all right, cheers. Yeah, thanks for that. I'm still carrying some grief weight, thanks. But so that was a moment. Also, we've had some funny things. I always, on YouTube, put a tiny bit of money behind each video just to get it moving, because subscribers are wonderful. I think we're 7,000 plus now, which is absolutely incredible. But unless you click that bell when you subscribe, then you don't necessarily get the episode sent to you. You don't get a notification to say, hey, new episode. Well, with George's in particular, and actually the last few, we've touched on some really, really deep topics. It's Mental Health Month. As I said, Men's Mental Health Month. I wanted to focus on men's mental health. So we've had an episode with Samaritans. We've had an episode with George, the Tin Men, looking at men's health and mental health, and some uncomfortable truths around exactly that. We have had Louise Butcher, the topless runner. And basically YouTube's got this thing where it won't let you promote, and I think it algorithmically goes against you potentially if you're talking about topics that it has policies against. But their policies are everything from US election. So if you talk about politics in any way, which, let's be honest, in a 2-hour podcast, you're probably going to get onto politics at some stage. It seems that if you even mention the word Trump or anything to do with politics, then you get a strike against you. Shocking content with the King of Chemo. Actually, that was another one. King of Chemo. It said shocking content. Well, yeah, we're talking to a bloke who was given 5 years to live about cancer, the end of his life potentially. Of course, we're talking about shocking content, but it's not really shocking, is it? Because if you've clicked that, you've seen that that's what it's about, that's who it's with. If you're still with it after 30 seconds, then that's on you. So yeah, there's been some problems with reach in the last month, but I'm just going to keep going. I think the main thing for me here is consistency. For Christ, 5 minutes already. The main thing for me here is consistency, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing so much. I think everything else will come. That's what they say. Follow your passion and your purpose, and I truly believe that we're making a difference with this. I'm really enjoying it. Keep following that, and the commercials will make sense eventually. I will work it out. I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur. Used to hate that word, still kind of do, but it's the best description of who I am, what I do. Training hasn't been as good as it could and should be. The episodes are going really well. The guests are incredible. I'm really enjoying sharing things, and I'm learning as I'm editing as well. And you might have noticed with recent edits, I'm trying to bring in some other content, some other footage, and that sort of thing. So yeah, that might get better as well. It all adds up, eh? Anyway, there's a quick update as to where I'm at. I've got 4 or 5 podcasts to edit to do my first edits. Some brilliant conversations had with the likes of Trevor Woodman, World Cup winner with England Rugby, with Richard Browning, the real life Ironman, the founder of Gravity and the flight suit, with Realbotics CEO. That was a great conversation. And oh gosh, who else? There was Peter Tritton. We recorded the first part of what's going to be my first ever 2-parter. That's only in the last couple of weeks. This Friday, so in 2 days' time, I'm going to be speaking to Sakisa, the stand-up comedian and human rights lawyer, which is incredible. And next week, I've got 2 more booked in. Our answer to Wim Hof, John Myatt. And on Friday, I'm speaking to Jeremy Lynch, one of the most followed people on all of social media, one half of F2 Freestylers, content creator extraordinaire, about his life, what he does. So just amazing people. Oh gosh, and Zoe Oldcroft and Mo Hunt as well, the rugby players, the England women's rugby players, again World Cup winners. Got those coming up. So just a phenomenal load of people coming up. Loving doing this. Right, that is far too long. I'm going to shut up now. Goodbye.